uh, uh, initiative by the ICI, and we will start that with the video, and then I will start deliberation. I will try to have a small 2 minutes video for the benefit of all colleagues who are viewing this live webcast. Welcome, colleagues. Good evening to all the viewers, and I'm happy to welcome all of you in this global webinar being organized today by ICI. We have the galaxy of the eminent personalities across the globe. Before I initiate the discussion, let me share you a small video on the corona and the role of ICI, how the ICI is contributing to the country in the
Arina. आवाज बढ़ाओ.
So, good evening, friends. I welcome all of you. This is a small contribution by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India to fight the corona in impact in India and how the members of our profession are contributing in kind, in money and all. At the outset, I welcome each one of you on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. With more than 315,000 members and 700,000 plus thousand students, we feel proud to host this global webinar wherein the leader of the profession from various global and regional bodies are participating. All of you know that we are passing through a difficult phase of life when COVID-19 has hit globally, and each of the economy is facing that turbulent situation. Specifically, sector like hospitality, travel, airlines are getting most affected. On humanitarian front, Our members and students are putting their best efforts to shoulder every initiative of the government, may it be serving the society or collectively contributing more than 3 million US dollar in the Prime Minister Care Fund. At this time, the role as preparer of financial statement or engagement as assurance service become more relevant and important. They not only have to pass through the tough time in terms of the healthcare and sustainability, especially for SMEs, but also they need to reskill themselves to face the challenges. Financial statement for the year 2019-20 will require a lot of disclosure on account of corona impact, may it be the valuation of inventory, lease agreements, contingent liabilities versus force measure for extension of the project completion, insurance claims, cash flow uncertainty, impairment of assets, fair value of equity, and overall going concern position of organization. Similarly, where the assurance activity will require special attention on number of standards of auditing, may it be the SA 315, 320, 540, reasonable estimates talk about, 501, valuation of inventory, 560, the subsequent events, 570, the going concern, 701, the key audit matters, and then last, the 706, the emphasis of matter. All of you will agree that with the advent of globalization, now the interdependence of economy on other jurisdiction is the reality. With this, the unification of disclosure norms and auditing standards at each jurisdiction are also benchmarked globally. Thanks for very important role played by the IFAC, IAASB, IFRS Foundation, and other standard setters, global initiative in leading the society of professionals. The standard developed by them not only becoming a guiding force for the entire professional and the corporate, but also paving the way to protect the interest of the common man, being he is the user of the financial statement for various purposes, including the engagement or the investment. Today program on COVID impact on reporting the assurance is one of the latest examples that how the international community of professionals stand together to face the challenge and working shoulder to shoulder with common objective to serve the society. Today, leader of various global bodies and regional forums have come together to interact with professionals across the globe. We are expecting a viewership of more than 100,000 professionals and other stakeholders in today's global webinar. We are thankful to IFAC President Dr. Inkiju, the Vice President Ellen Johnson, and for exceeding our request. Participation of dignitaries like CA Suresh Prabhuji, Arjuna Heradji, the Wantin from the Asian Federation of Accountants, which is catering the Asian countries. Then the participation of Tom St. Destin, the Chairman IAASB, our colleague G. Shekharji, Amon Signis from CP Ireland and Edinburgh Group, Om Chi Wai, the Council Member from the Malaysia, the Salvador Marin from the President of the European Federation of Accountants and Auditors, the Tasia Bedstone from CPA, the Manil Jaisinghe from Sri Lanka, and who is also the Chair of the Accounting Standard Board of SAFA, the Ram Subramaniam from CPA Australia, and the colleagues from the Florina Toma from Accountancy Europe, who is taking care of all the European professional bodies. Then the Rosita from the Indonesia, Vernon from the Vernon from the ICAEW and handling the CA worldwide, and none other than Mr. Ellen Johnson, the Deputy President IFAC, along with our CA MP Vijay Kumar, the Chairman ASP, are the few colleagues and very prominent colleagues who will make this event truly memorable and historical. Here, before I sign off, I take this opportunity to welcome all the panelists and the viewers in the upcoming World Congress of Accountants of IFAC being hosted by the India in 2022 November. With this, I request our very honorable and very distinguished CA Sri Suresh Prabhuji, the member of the upper house of the Parliament and the Sherpa of the G7 and G20 for the Prime Minister of our country, to address all of us and all the viewers on the impact of COVID and the way forward for the global economy. Over to CA Suresh Prabhu ji.
Yes. Good evening, friends, and thank you, the president of my institute, and all the global leaders of this great profession, accountancy and auditing. It's an honor for me to be talking to you and be on the same page at the same time when all of you such distinguished leaders are there. Firstly, let me offer my condolences to all those who have lost lives in all parts of the world, in more than 130 countries, due to this very unfortunate pandemic, which is affecting each one of us in some form or the other. And therefore, I offer my condolences to the families. I also offer my sincere greetings with all those countries who are fighting this great medical professionals, and we'll tell you that we'll definitely win this battle by joining hands and working together, by keeping, of course, when I say joining hands, by keeping the social distance. But we'll work together and making sure that we'll win this battle for sure. At a time when we are forced with a choice to choose between lives and the economic activity, the whole world has chosen the right path. That we must save the lives, because ultimately economy is meant for whom? It is meant for those people. So we have chosen a right path of choosing that we'll save the lives first. But once we save the lives, the second important aspect that is going to come now is how to make sure that the economy progresses, because that economy itself will guarantee that those who have lives we have saved will be able to live a better life. And to do that, we have to work on many areas. The first and immediate concern, obviously, was to restore the lost economic output. And to do that, the lost output has gone, but at least to compensate for it, the governments rightfully have given huge packages. The US has given $3.2 trillion. Some other countries have given more than 10% of the GDP. And Japan has committed almost close to $1 trillion. And all of that put together will make sure that at least we'll be able to compensate partly for the lost economic activity in terms of not losing GDP substantially. But once you do that, and there is no choice but to do that, it is absolutely necessary. But we must also be, and we as accountants, we know it better, that would mean that the balance sheets of governments are going to be over leveraged. There is already some countries have got, say, US 116% of the public debt to GDP ratio. So many countries now will be faced with the prospect of having over leveraged balance sheet. And how do you deal with that? Because that would mean that they will be now paying interest on those borrowed loans for a long period of time, and to service that interest, they will have to raise more taxes. That means future generations will have to pay for the debts of the past generation. And that's an intergenerational issue. And to do that, we'll have to work on some new methodologies to find out how do you deal with this. The second aspect of that will be, besides the government balance sheet, will be the corporate balance sheets. And the corporates will be facing a real challenge. Because first, rather than bearing the balance sheet, they will have to worry about the profit loss account, the revenues. Because the revenue stream that they will be getting from the sales will be affected in a foreseeable future substantially. Barring few industries which may benefit, but large number of them will lose it. And therefore, the challenge is going to be how to survive in business. And to do that, governments don't have that problem because governments will survive anyway. But corporates to survive in marketplace is going to be a very challenging issue. And to deal with that, every company will have to work out a new business plan, and probably professionals like you will be advising them how to survive in this crisis situation. The third issue will be the individual balance sheet, the household balance sheets. Most of them, having lost revenue, will need to borrow to survive. Their housing loans, the mortgages will have to be serviced. The car loans that they might have taken, they have to be properly taken care of. The small businesses, they're tailored to service. So all the three segments, the government, the corporate, the households, all are going to be suffering, and there will be a big challenge. Point is, how do you come out of it? As the president mentioned correctly, that we are living in a very interdependent world. We have seen huge benefits of working together. The global growth which happened in the previous 20-25 years happened because of that interconnectivity. Technology can make it in a interconnectivity even better. Like we are talking to each other without it being in physical presence, but and different parts of the world, but we can talk to each other. That is made possible by technology. So the marketplace also can help in realizing the true benefit of technology if we can work together. So the new challenge that is going to come in the next few years' time is, do we learn the right lesson of the globalization or go the wrong way? I think if we choose the right path, working together, making sure that a country which has surplus cash can make investments in the other country, the country which has surplus goods can export it to the other country, and therefore we work as a team. The services that we can offer from one country can benefit other, and therefore the globalization in the different form, though inevitably going to change, will have to play a very key and important role. I don't want to elaborate too much. You are all experts and have a limited time, but I can only tell you one thing. The world has seen so many challenges in the past. Nobody can compare this with another challenge because it's a completely unique challenge. But whatever challenges we have faced, there's one underlying strength that we always displayed, and that is that we can tide over any crisis. We have the ability to do that. But we need collective brains, collective thinking, collective wisdom to put together. And therefore, to make what form of globalization it takes, but a globalization of minds, globalization of ideas will have to happen first. Let us all put that together. And I'm very sure, very optimistic that we face some challenges, but we'll definitely tide over it. I once again thank my professionals, colleagues for making this happen. My last point is, and which the president highlighted, that's the role of auditors. The assurance that we'll give to the society. That's going to be very challenging. Should we use the same norms of going concern basis? Should we use the same standards that we had in the past in a very exceptional situation like this to decide how good the balance sheet is? Or should we think little differently? I think all the professional bodies must come together and think together about how can we make sure that we all as a team can put these new ideas so that we do not reflect, though we definitely certify the balance sheet which is correct, but give a correct picture, little realistic picture in terms of the realistic situation that prevails outside. I'm sure we'll deal with all the issues. I'm really excited by the fact that all of you have come together. This collective wisdom, collective knowledge will see us through. Once again, I thank my alma mater, my Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and my great professional leaders from all parts of the world for making this happen, thinking together. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, C.S. Suresh Prabhuji, for your valuable address and guidance to all colleagues across the globe. And now may I request very respected Dr. Inkiju, the President IFAC, to address and guide all of us with his keynote address. Over to Dr. Inkiju.
Okay.
Sir, you have to unmute. I am doing the unmute.
Unmute now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, please, sir.
Thank you, President Gupta, ICAI leadership, distinguished colleagues and guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Inkiju, as introduced by President Gupta. I am President of IFAC, the International Federation of Accountants. I am proud to represent all of IFAC's members